So I've had a lot of people asking for videos just basically showing the creative process of making an idea on the MPC. Nothing overly edited or anything of that sort. Pretty much me working on the MPC, talking out loud while I do it. So that's what this video is. It's part one. The second part is actually going to be a deep dive into using the erase button to do the full sequencing of the song. But in this video, what you're going to see is creating a drum kit from scratch, using sample cycling to layer multiple different shaker samples to create an organic shaker loop, adding in a bass line, sidechaining the bass using Mother Ducker so it shares the same space with the kick drum, doing some basic mixing on here. And then in the second video, we're gonna go over everything you can do with the erase button and how it is such a powerhouse tool with sequencing out your ideas. Now there is timestamps below if you wanna see the different areas that we're covering in this video, or if you just wanna jump around and see a certain section. Again, this is just me creating an idea on the MPC, speaking out loud of all the steps that I'm going through. All right, so for this project, we're just gonna start off with a completely blank slate. We're gonna leave it at 120 because we're gonna probably make some sort of melodic house vibe going on here. And right off the bat, I'm gonna lay down some drums. So first things first, let's just call this some drums. And then also go into the program just to stay organized. Let's go drums, do it. We're gonna go over to our browser right here, and all of the samples that I wanna use for this are actually stored in the SSD that's right in here, and that's called my MPC1. And I have some drum samples here that I'm gonna load in. So let's just build a kit real quick, like that. And the cool thing about MPC is we can always go back and adjust any of these samples later. So let's put in a clap. Sure. Let's go back up. Let's do some hi-hats. Let's go back up real quick. Go into open hi-hats. Again, we may change all these later. And then let's just put a snare, and then we'll call it a day as far as our, shaker. Shaker's always good. And actually, let's do this. Let's layer up 4 different shakers on here. So when we note repeat it, it's going to actually do sample cycling. If you're looking for a video on sample cycling, I'll just link it right up here, somewhere around there. So I want to load that. Let's load that. That's cool too. And then let's grab a clap or a snare. Put it on that pad. Sure, I'm gonna keep it simple. So now we have a basic kit, but I want this to do sample cycling, so let's adjust that really quickly. So first, we're gonna go and hit Program Edit right here, and we gotta make sure that we're on this pad, which is A8 right there, and we wanna go into our actual samples, and we can see that we have a shaker on layer number 1. We're gonna go into layer number 2, click on Sample right there, find a different shaker, up, go to that one, go here, go to 5, go here, and go to 7. Now we have different sounds on each one of these layers right here, as you can see, and we're going to go back into the global, and we're going to turn this into cycling. And now when we put on note repeat, we've made kind of a cool organic, somewhat organic shaker loop. And let's just record that in really quick. We're going to be 2 bars. That sounds good. And I'm going to put the kick in, but for the kick, we're just going to use the step sequencer. So step sequence right here. and I already have it selected because it was the last pad that I hit, and you can see that right up here, pad 01. So I'm just going to quickly do that, go to the next bar, do that, and I want to put in my claps. So I'm going to hit pad select, hit my clap right there, and then just put them right there and go back through my bars. And then let's go back to the main. I'm going to turn off the full velocity on here because I want to do note repeat and give it a little bit of a bounce. So let's record that in. And a lot of times I'll let it go through a couple of times until I get it right. Now the shakers are cool, but they're obviously way too loud. So we're gonna find our shaker right here. Make sure you're in the pad mode, which is going to be that guy right there. And we're gonna bring the volume down of these shakers. And we can even take it one step further. There's one shaker that's really bright. So I think it's the first one. So we're going to go back into program edit right here, and inside of these samples, let's see, I believe it's this one right here. I think it's that guy that's going on. So in that shaker one, we could either turn the level down. Oh, that's a pan right there. Nope, wrong one. Okay, and then on the whole thing, I do want to just put a high filter on there to make it a little less bright. And we're going to also put a delay on there because sometimes that can sound cool on shakers. And hear it with it off, with it on. Just adds a little extra layer in there. Let's go back to our main, unmute it. Let's look at our overall program. As you can see, and also here, we're actually clipping on this program. So let's just turn these sounds down real quick. Go back to the program. We can see that we're not clipping anymore. I want to turn this kick up just a little bit right here, this guy. Oh, we're actually on the program still for that, so let's go back to the pad. And let's throw this in, and we could do it live, but we're just going to come back into step sequencing, and it's all of these guys right here. We're going to leave the velocity like that just to add a little variety. So it's not the same each time. Give it a little subtle variation. So that's going to be our drum foundation. We're just going to build on top of that. So let's then go into our next track right here, and we're going to turn this into a plugin, and we're just going to start flipping through some sounds. So we could go and just change the plugin right here to find a different plug, or we could do the cool new fancy way, which is going into our menu and then going into our sounds. Ooh, look at that graphical interface. It's so beautiful, right? So let's go to Fabric XL, which is pretty awesome. And I want to start off, let's just do Well, actually, let's see what's in moving pads. One note, always go to full level 2 when you're doing this so you don't have to sit here and whack the pads a bunch. I'm going to hold shift right here and hit 16 levels, which will go into our pad performer mode. And I'm going to go into chords, and let's make this minor, make it kind of dark. What about our progressions? MPC actually has a lot of pretty decent progressions. I must say I like them quite a bit more than the ones inside of the machine. I like that. I'm not crazy about the sound, so let's go right back into where we were before, which is menu, sounds. And if you hit just locate preset, it'll go right back to where you left off. That sounds good. And I want to edit the instrument, so there's a thing on the bottom to edit the instrument. And I want to grab the filter for this and just kind of cut off a little bit of that high end. So if we're looking here, we're going to have to go through and navigate on the bottom here, going over. Usually in the main is where you're going to find your cutoff. So and I want to add a little automation to just bring it alive a little bit. So you can just hit your automation right there. And we instantly have automation. One pro tip is just automate as much stuff as you possibly can. It really does bring a lot to the track. What if we slow this down a little bit? Ah, that's cool. Go into track, actually, let's go back and label this. So pad 1. Rename this pad 1 so they match. This is just good to stay organized because now when I flip to a new track on track number 3, I can still see that I'm using pad number 1. So if I change the sound, it's gonna screw up track number 2. So I'm just gonna hit plus right here to activate a new plugin instance. And I know I'm going to put an ARP on here, so let's name this ARP. Let's do it also down here as well. And I'm going to use the exact same chords that we already have here because we're still in the pad performer mode. We hide this, go to pad performer. We're still in this, but I'm going to find a pluck and then hold note repeat just to add some little sprinkles of an ARP inside of here. So let's go back to our menu, go to sounds. We're just going to use a bunch of Fabric XL in here, and I want some plucks. And I'm just going to double click on that to latch the note repeat. I can also hold shift and hit that as well. Let's just see what this sounds like. Okay, I like that, but as you can see, our little change up makes it into a 4-bar sequence instead of a 2-bar sequence. So let's really quickly, before we record this, go back into main. Here's our first sequence right here, and we're going to just hit the little pencil tool. We're gonna double this sequence, which is double length right there. Now, when we go back to main, we see that we have 4 bars on here, because I wanna do that little change at the end. So let's grab that. And I want to edit this sound really quickly, so I'm going to hit program edit. It brings me right into this piano. Let's take a little bit off that high. You know what, I want to try a different sound on here. Let's see what we get. All right, I'm cool with that. Let's add a bass line. And if we go back into Pad Performer, we can see we're essentially just going from A to B. So since there's so much melodic movement already with the little ARP and the pads, let's just try a standard 16th note bass line, which is going to be going from A to B. So if we change this back to notes, we know that we're just going to be hitting these two right here. We could eliminate that distance if we change it to major. We're just going to be going between these two right here. Go back to main, make a 4th track right off the bat. Let's just call this bass. And then remember, we have to make a new plugin so we're not messing up the one we currently already have. And let's call this bass just to keep everything organized. Do it. And we still have the 16th note repeating on there. But let's go in and find a bass sound. Let's maybe switch it up and go into the bassline synth, I guess. And let's see what they have for sub. Now we have to go in and hold shift, go back to our 16 levels, and we're going to drop down the octave that we're in right here. And let's go back into our sounds, locate preset. And program edit so we can edit this sound a little bit. It defaults to be right on the filter cutoff. That's okay. I feel like we could maybe grab a slightly better sound. So turning off note repeat, we can solo this track, right? And we can just change the preset right here. Let's see how that sounds with everything in there. And now that I hear it, I really just want to have kind of a sustained bass note that pumps, maybe using the mother ducker. So let's just take what we have and just quickly erase all this stuff. There's multiple ways you can do this, but we are going to go in here, hold shift and hit cut. Grab those little guys here, shift and hit cut. Turn off note repeat. And let's find a better sound than that. So let's go back into the menu, go back into sounds, and let's go to Fabric XL because it's the newest, latest, greatest. Why not? Synth bass. Let's see what some of these sound like. Program edit, turn down some of that cutoff. Okay, I like that, just sustained note a lot better, but let's make sure that it plays well with the kick. So we're gonna come back into main on this channel right here. Let's just open up our little peak window, go into the program, which is gonna be the second one over, and we're gonna wanna go into dynamics. And on here, we're going to put the mother ducker And we're gonna come back to this. Now I wanna jump into program 1. Easiest way to do that, hold main, hit drums. Now we're back in program 1. Let's come in here and put mother ducker input, which just sends a signal over. Let's close that out. Let's go back over to our bass line, pull up the mother ducker so we can just kind of dial this in. I like bringing the attack really fast. I usually leave that on auto. We're getting some pretty decent gain reduction right there. Let's hear it with and without. So that's our basic groove. Now what we're gonna do next is we're gonna create a couple of different sequences and then go over everything we can do with the erase button in order to do some subtractive synthesis. All right, so I hope that helped you understand how I use the MPC to generate my ideas for a track. Now make sure you check out the second part where it's a deep dive into actually using the erase button to sequence out the idea into more of segmented parts of a song. Now if you're new to this channel, please like, subscribe, support the channel so I can keep making you these videos. And on that note, thanks for your time. Thanks for your attention. Now go make something cool.